Hello, everyone. Welcome to the How to Finance Your Summer Abroad session for 2025. I'm so glad that you are joining us today. I would like to start with the land acknowledgement. We wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. Today, I'm so glad to have Julian Sidebottom, a financial aid counselor from our Finance Aid Office. You are all joining us. And my name is Lorraine Outham, Director of our Professional International Programs of Summer Abroad. Welcome to everyone who is joining us on live or who's going to be watching this video. We have lots of information to cover with you today, so stay tuned. The agenda for today is I'm going to cover briefly the Summer Abroad program. For those who may be a bit new to Summer Abroad, I will explain a little bit briefly what Summer Abroad really entails. Then I will move it over and let Julien explain the government aid OSAP piece. So he has the expertise on OSAP, and you'll hear from him the pieces of how students, domestic students, may still be eligible for OSAP. I do want to encourage you, if you have questions about OSAP, please do ask after Julien finishes his OSAP section, so you can ask OSAP-related questions right after his presentation so that he is able to leave our session right after, because once we finish OSAP, we're going to dive deeply into all the nuts and bolts and all other aspects about Summer Abroad and different kinds of funding sources. I'll also be walking you through Summer Abroad Awards, which is very specific to Summer Abroad participants. And for those who are new to the application, I will have a step-by-step guide for our award application. For those who are curious, we do have slides that we're going to be posting to the Summer Abroad portal after the session. Please give us a couple of days and you will be able to find and access it on the Summer Abroad portal under the documents library. This session is also recorded, so if you have registered for the session, you will also have access to the video recording at a later date as well. Because this is a webinar, I encourage you to type your questions in the chat as you see it on the screen. Please note that we will be addressing OSAP questions after the OSAP presentation is over. Any other questions, my colleague who is on the back end, Joe, will kindly try to assist. If they're too detailed or very specific, please note that there are a couple of questions we will leave right at the end in the Q&A section, and I'll come back. I'll be happy to address them. So without further ado, let me talk a little bit about Summer Abroad. This is a screenshot of our Summer Abroad web page. As you know, the program has been part of Summer Abroad, or the Summer Abroad program has been part of University of Toronto for over 52 years. So we've had great experiences over the last couple of years, providing students with this wonderful opportunity to go abroad during the summer term. So what exactly does Summer Abroad mean and how is it different from other international opportunities you may be aware of? Summer Abroad is a little bit unique and different. Keep in mind, these are not transfer credits. It's not an exchange program. These are University of Toronto courses. So you take them as if you were actually registering for a course or selecting a course on campus, but you are going to be traveling with your entire classmate to another international destination. The classes tend to be a bit smaller. It ranges destination to destination, averages about 25 students. We are offering 23 different locations this summer, and there are over 30 plus courses. So definitely something for you to consider and keep in mind. These are all full year courses condensed in 4 weeks. So a course that you normally would take and cover over 8 months from May to April, these are condensed for you. You take one course at a time. Your focus is on a particular topic. So the beauty of it is you really get to know the topic and the subject really well. So 1.0 course over 3 to 4 weeks. It may fulfill program requirements, breadth of distribution requirements as well. These are taught by UFT or in some cases also includes international faculty members. You have access to on-site support and you have a wonderful opportunity to get to know your instructor really well over the duration of your program. So I won't touch on it too much, but do note that students who have participated in summer abroad opportunities have really indicated and shared that they not only receive academic benefits from being part of this program because it provides experiential learning opportunities and provides them with global perspective, but they have also received other types of benefits, professional and personal as well. You're able to build your global network and also gain independence, confident, and become more adaptable. And you do develop the competency to overcome different types of challenges that may come to over the period of your summer abroad program. Here is a little bit of kind of survey results that I would like to share with you. We have had many surveys done on summer abroad or international opportunities, and over 80% of the employers who were surveyed on this particular QS survey in 2011 surveyed said that they sought graduates who have actually studied abroad. And the numbers do track, and even consistently over the recent years, students and employers, prospective employers, have indicated that it does set you apart. So, how do you go about financing a summer abroad opportunity? Let's tackle government aid or OSAP first. So, at this point in time, I'm going to invite Julianne to share screen. I'm going to stop sharing mine here. And Julianne, take it over and let me know if you have issues.
Is everyone able to see the screen?
Looks good, Julianne.
All right, thank you. So thanks for having me. I'm going to primarily be, I'm from the University Registrar's Office and we work with government student aid programs. So I'm going to primarily be focusing on OSAP today. If you're receiving funding from another province or territory, I'd encourage you to reach out to our out-of-province team directly to identify you'll be participating in summer abroad. And you can share your summer study plans. Basically, each province and territory is different, so it's important for both you and the out-of-province team to be on the same page regarding your summer plans. So OSAP stands for the Ontario Student Assistance Program. So the government has designed it as an assistance program. It's not meant to cover all costs. So financial aid is there to help bridge the gap between the cost of going to school and your resources. So for summer abroad, OSAP will consider costs up to the cost of a regular UFT course taken at UFT. Costs such as airfare cannot be considered by OSAP, and you'll need to look to other resources to help you fund these costs. The OSAP formula is basically assigned expenses minus assumed resources as the funding assistance. Budgeting. So ensure that you budget not just for summer abroad, but also for the following academic year. OSAP assumes you'll contribute $3,600 to help fund the costs each year. And if this comes primarily from a summer job, consider how you'll budget for the following academic year to ensure you don't run out of money. So for summer abroad, students should apply to full-time OSAP. It's one credit, but it's also a shorter duration. The one exception to this would be summer abroad or science abroad physics in Switzerland, which runs May to August, which due to its length, students would apply to part-time OSAP to help cover the cost for this program unless those students have a permanent disability or persistent or prolonged disability status on their OSAP application. In order to be eligible for full-time OSAP, a study period must be at least 12 weeks in length. So therefore, summer abroad on its own is not eligible, it's just too short. So a student must have received OSAP at some point in the 24-25 academic year, such as the fall and or winter and or summer, where that study period plus the summer abroad study period is at least 12 weeks in length. This would typically be you'd receive funding in the fall, winter, and also summer abroad in the summer. So summer is a great time to take a break from studies and earn some income, but it is also possible to take both summer abroad and regular U of T courses in the same summer period. So you can combine, say, summer abroad in the first half of summer and regular U of T courses in the July-August session, or vice versa. If there is a gap of 28 days or more between the summer abroad and the regular U of T courses, it needs to be considered as a separate study period by OSAP, and that's going to ultimately impact whether you apply to full-time OSAP for both or full-time and part-time OSAP. So in this example, there's a summer abroad in South Africa, which is in May, and then regular 1.0 credits of regular U of T courses in July, August. As there's a large gap, it must be considered as separate study periods. But both are full-time. The summer abroad's full-time, as well as the 1 credit in July, August. That's an 80% course load, which is considered full-time. So you would submit 1 application, and we will make the necessary adjustments to it. Same summer abroad, but different example in terms of taking half a credit in July, August. So as the summer abroad is full-time, but the half credit is a 40% course load. So 40% course load is full-time for students with a permanent disability or persistent or prolonged disability status on their OSAP, but it's part-time for students without a disability status on their OSAP. So students with the disability status on their OSAP, that will be a full-time OSAP application, whereas if someone doesn't have a disability status on their OSAP, it would be a full-time OSAP application for summer abroad and a part-time application for the July-August half credit course. So I realize this is technical. Basically, what I hope you'll come away with this is that not all combinations of courses may potentially work with full-time OSAP. If you have questions, please contact my office, the University Registrar's Office, and there'll be some contact information at the end. You can provide us with your summer plans, and then we can review your situation and advise you accordingly. So how you apply to OSAP is going to depend whether you've had OSAP or not in the academic year already. So if you've not had OSAP already, you would apply on the OSAP website, remembering the caveat that the minimum 12-week study period with no gaps. So if this was the situation, apply in March for the summer and upload a letter from yourself indicating your summer plans. Not many summer abroad and regular U of T summer course combinations meet OSAP policy requirements for this option. It's typically ineligible for OSAP. However, there's still a time to apply to OSAP for the fall-winter 2024-2025 study period. And then you can use the short extension application, which will be outlined next. So those students with the full-time OSAP application that's been confirmed in this fall or winter, you can apply to the summer using a short extension application that we produce on our website. Apply in March. March is when we release it, and it always pays to apply early. So this is a screenshot from the application itself, and it has options specifically for students who are taking summer abroad. So this particular example is from a student who's taking a summer abroad course in France, and students can basically easily enter their plans for the summer onto the application. My best advice when completing the application is just to read the questions carefully as you're going through and indicate what you're taking. Similar example here, however, this is a summer abroad in Ecuador and 1.0 of regular U of T credits July, August. You can write more in the summer abroad box if you think it's necessary, but when we review your application, we'll message you through your OSAP message center if if you have any questions or need any clarifications about your application. Part-time OSAP for the Science Abroad Physics in Switzerland, you would apply directly on the OSAP website. There's no issues with part-time OSAP and the 12-week length. BSWD funding, bursary for students with disabilities for services and equipment, can be considered for summer abroad as well, just as it would for regular U of T courses. Connect with your accessibility service advisor early, since you'll need to have everything in place well before leaving for your summer abroad course. Ultimately, applying early is the key to ensure your funding is in place prior to leaving. Make sure you select to receive electronic messages from OSAP, as lettermail takes significantly longer in any case. May not be possible while you're abroad. Check for updates from OSAP regularly and update OSAP if your plans change. And as I said, please feel free to connect with my office and we can help determine how you should be applying for government student aid for your summer abroad. So that ends my presentation. Does anyone have any questions? All right, well, thank you for having me, Lorraine.
Thanks, Julian. Take care.
Take care.
So what you're seeing on screen is a screenshot of our number of summer abroad locations. So when you're on the website, click under programs and this will come up, and the blogs are interactive. So if you click on the blog, they'll actually lead to a different page and you'll be able to explore more information and more details of the program. So if you're interested in Oxford, click on the Oxford icon and things will populate. Note that your interface is a little bit different on laptops or on computers versus a mobile phone. You'll be able to still receive information and check and view them when you are on your phone, but the interface is a little bit different. And I've noticed when students are on their mobile phone, you just have to know that you actually have to uncollapse or go to certain sublinks, and that's not as easily sometimes intuitive on your mobile. So you may want to view the pages on your laptop first just to understand how the page navigates and you're a little bit more familiar with the layout, because you do notice there are lots of information available on our web page. So let's talk about costs and financial resources. How do you finance a summer abroad program? I get asked about this all the time. And one of my objectives as a director of a summer abroad program is to make sure that I am able to unpack the cost and the financial resources to our prospective students and make this information easily available to everyone so you can actually actively consider these opportunities. I would never want finances to deter anyone. If you have a question, do reach out, ask us, and we'll be happy to assist you and direct you to resources that are available to you. Costs for summer abroad programs are broken into two segments or two categories. Fees paid to University of Toronto. So these consist of summer abroad program fees. This includes your application fees, your UFT summer abroad course fee, field trip fees, and also your accommodation over the duration of your summer abroad program. It also includes your UFT incidental fees, which is very important because it has really important fees that you would want to make sure you still pay to ensure you have access to those valuable resources as part of being a UFT registered student during the summer. So understand that's fees paid to UFT. The other category is usually called additional cost. These are usually estimates. We want to make sure you as a prospective student understand what those additional elements may be and know that you have a bit of flexibility, because based on your own personal needs, you may be able to adjust them accordingly. So what does additional costs involve? These are airfare for you to travel to that location and return back. And we try to be really flexible to give you that option to really choose your own flights, going to the location at the start of the program and making sure you arrange your own travel at the end of the program. Students have often really mentioned to us they want the flexibility. a number of students don't always fly from Toronto, so they want the opportunity to maybe travel to a friend or maybe travel to family, and you may actually be traveling maybe from Quebec or BC or maybe from a different country before you end up at the start of your program elsewhere. So that flexibility is still there. What we will show on our website is the estimated cost of the recommended flight. This is the recommended flight for those who wish to travel from Toronto and return back to Toronto. So it's a round trip estimate. So keep that in mind. Additional costs also include meals, local transportation, medical travel insurance that you may want to add depending on your personal needs, and also other miscellaneous expenses such as gifts and other activities. So always keep in mind there are two blocks. The first block, paid to University of Toronto. Second block, additional costs that you have control over. So what does that actually look like? I always like to work with examples. So what I've provided you is an example of a cost for the Italy 2025 Summer Abroad program. When you go on a website and you click on the Italy program, on the left-hand navigator, you'll see a tab, Cost. Click on it and you will notice it will show you cost for your domestic students and cost for international students. If you're a domestic student, i.e. paying in a domestic tuition fees to the University of Toronto, the cost for studying in Italy as a domestic student would apply. So look like something like this. And on the right-hand side of the screen, I've also included for your reference, if you're an international student, that is, you are paying international tuition fees to the University of Toronto, the fees on the right-hand side would be something you would like to consider. So you'll see there's a slight difference. So you'll see fees paid to the University of Toronto is on the top block, and that's for you to consider. And they really differ program to program. Certain programs would really be cheaper because the accommodation may be cheaper, the cost of living may be cheaper, and other locations because of maybe the accommodations or other field trips, the cost may be a little slightly higher as well. So I've included this as a sample for you to know and plan accordingly. Additional cost at the bottom include, again, as I mentioned, airfares, meals, etc. And those are estimates for you to work with and plan as you put your budget together. And of course, at the bottom, when we talk about approximate total program costs, that's a combination of both fees paid to the University of Toronto plus additional cost. So you have an understanding of how the cost works, what would be needed financially to be participating in a summer abroad program. Let's talk a little bit now about the various types of funding. So if you've heard from the OSAP office information about OSAP and how you would approach that, how you would apply, so different kind of things you need to know if you are accessing government aid here as a domestic student. And to clarify, for those who may be wondering and not familiar with the terminology OSAP. OSAP is for Ontario students, and you need to be an Ontario resident. So this would be applicable for domestic students. International students would not have access to OSAP. For all other students, do keep in mind that that is not the only resource available. In fact, for all our participants, I strongly recommend that you keep other sources in mind as well. And I always want to encourage students to think about stacking funding or stacking your finances. And what I mean by stacking is combining different elements. So you may be already maybe receiving government aid, but you also want to think about part-time employment, work-study opportunities and programs, other ways to think about getting funding. RESPs or contribution from family members may be applicable to you. And last but not least, there are UFT Student Awards, and I'm going to spend quite a bit of time talking about student awards at the University of Toronto. You have access to student awards that are granted through the Summer Abroad office at Woodswood College. But that's not the only source. You have other awards that may also be open to you as a student, and you could access them maybe through your faculty, division, college, department, etc. So know there are a number of different resources, important for you to be aware of which ones are applicable to you and ensure you're applying to all of them. So government aid's already been explained. Part-time employment, RESP, if you want to learn a little bit more, definitely encourage you to do a bit of deep dive into this as well. I'm going to be moving forward and spending quite a bit of time on student awards. There are wide ranges of awards. The criteria are always different. And do note that at the University of Toronto, the UFT awards do not have to be paid back. So these are non-repayable. These are available to current University of Toronto undergraduate students, and your awards are either sometimes based on merits, financial need, or in certain cases, combination of both. So let's talk a little bit about different types of student awards. As I mentioned, awards may be administered through the Summer Abroad office. Definitely you want to keep those ones in mind. But over and above that, you also have international experience or IE Awards Plus that are offered through a different unit, CIE. CIE has been supporting summer abroad participants over the last few years, and they too provide funding to individuals. I recommend you look into the eligibility criteria. CIE awards are open to both domestic and international students. So if you're an international student and you may have financial need, I strongly recommend that you explore and apply for the IE Awards Plus as well. And other awards that exist through your faculty, college, or divisions, there are links to these through our website as well. And there is also a UFT Awards Explorer tool, and I've indicated and included the link at the bottom of the slide. Remember to explore those. So let's use an example. I always encourage students to talk to past participants. I've used an example from 2022, so the numbers would look a little bit different, but I want to make sure that you are able to actively think about how you go about calculating your expenses and how you would go about actively thinking about resources. So this is an actual student, but we've changed the name naturally. And on the left-hand side, you can see that James put together her summer abroad program expenses. So in the total, she's estimated she may be needing for this particular program about 9,667. And on the resource end, this is how Jane started to put her budget together. So she had personal savings, a certain amount. She also made sure that she was putting some of her employment income aside towards this opportunity. She was able to receive family contribution, and this was her estimate of her OSAP or government assistance. In addition, she made sure that she was applying for the Woodswood College Award. And over and above that, she also made sure she was applying for the CIE awards as well. So you can see that in total, she was able to have a really good idea of what her estimated expense may be and budget accordingly to make sure she was able to fund for this particular opportunity. So this is an example of a student with high financial need and was able to make sure that she was able to access all the resources available to her. This is another example. This is an example of an international student, name changed also in this particular case, but how the student went about going about their planning would be applicable to any international student. They put their expenses together on the left-hand side, and when they calculated the expenses, they noticed that the total was coming to about 10,775. They were able to access resources, and the resource breakdown is shown on the screen. Savings, employment income, family contribution, plus a CIE award of $2,000. And given those particular resources, they were able to finance this international opportunity to go to South Korea in this particular case. So I hope you found those examples helpful. I always want to make sure we are using real life cases, but with, of course, names protected. Let's talk a little bit about the Summer Abroad Awards. Majority of our Summer Abroad participants would be applying and normally would be eligible for Summer Abroad funding. To share a bit of stats, almost $400,000 was granted to 2024 Summer Abroad participants through Woodswood College alone. So do note that we do have significant amount of funding that we grant to students. Very important for you to remember to apply. So what's the eligibility criteria? You must be a current undergraduate UFT student, completed at least 4.0 UFT credits by the end of December 2024 with a CGPA of at least 2.25. In certain cases, the CGPA may need to be a little bit higher depending on your award criteria. To note, priority is given to students who are participating in summer abroad opportunity for the first time. And if you're in your final year, you're graduating perhaps in June, do note that we will give preference to students who are returning back to the University of Toronto, but in certain exceptional cases, depending on what you indicate on your application, we may be able to consider you, but majority of the time, it is for students who are returning back. The award criteria for awards which require financial need usually has specific particulars involved, and I will talk a little bit about that. So, but we have two criterias. Awards will indicate if you need to demonstrate financial need. All awards may be based on merit, and I'll explain what merit is in a little bit. In certain cases, the criteria may actually involve both financial need as well as merit. So, what does all this information mean, and how do you go about applying for all these different award applications? So, just to explain it a little bit again visually, I would explain it as there are three different categories for the Summer Abroad Awards. You have the needs-based awards that's integrated with your Summer Abroad application. When you start your Summer Abroad application, there will be a section that asks you, would you like to apply for a Summer Abroad needs-based award? Click yes, and it'll automatically guide you through the steps. If you're interested in a merit-based award, merit-based is not just simply on CGPA. Of course, that does factor into the application, but we are also looking at contributions and other types of ways you are demonstrating you're an outstanding student. If you are interested in a merit-based award, there is a supplemental application, so make sure you submit that as well over and above your normal summer abroad application. The last award is called the DRG Undergraduate Scholarship. Do note it's very different, and it's only for a group of students who are traveling to France for the fine arts course. It is open to both domestics and international students, but it's only eligible for students taking the art history courses. So art history 391 or 392. If you're applying for either of the FAH courses and are applying for the France Fine Arts program, then the DRG scholarship or award is open to you, and you'll notice it's automatically part of your application. It's quite a substantial award. Students participating in that particular program in fine art or art history in France is eligible to $8,000, and there are 30 scholarships in total for that particular group. Very, very grateful to the donor for making that available to our students. So what are the key things? Just to recap, that you need to keep in mind about financial aid. You need to complete one award application. It's already integrated with your summer abroad application. And number two is you need to be able to demonstrate financial need. And how you go about demonstrating it is by uploading supporting documents. In most of the cases, this may be your OSAP assessment from your previous fall winter term or from your last time you applied. If you're not an OSAP student, maybe you're receiving government aid from your own province in Canada, and that document would be applicable as well. We do have in certain cases, maybe students are funded through different other organizations. If you are receiving needs-based grant or funding for your current studies, that's a way for you to demonstrate that you still need funding to go abroad somewhere else. So keep that in mind. The supporting documents always do differ based on your unique situation, and we totally understand that. So make sure you are uploading some kind of documentation to your application that does help us assess and confirm that you do have financial aid and you are eligible for those particular awards. To make it a little bit easier for prospective students, I've put a summary of our different types of awards on this particular slide. What I hope you will take away from this slide is we have a number of different awards. Don't really let the award names or the amounts throw you. Know that we really want to make sure you're matched automatically to the appropriate needs-based award that may be applicable to you. If you are curious to learn a little bit more about these different awards, when you're on the cost section of your program, when you click on costs, you'll automatically see at the bottom of that page a list of the awards that are applicable to your destination. So, for example, if you're applying to the Italy program, you will see what other awards may be applicable to this particular Italy program. Maybe you're applying to the Germany one, and the page will refresh accordingly under the appropriate programs page. So you want to understand that there are different awards that are applicable for a specific destination, but there are also many awards that are open to all destinations, regardless of where you eventually go. What you want to make sure is you're applying, you understand the criteria, and we would assess and match you to the best one possible. One of the awards I want to highlight is our Summer Abroad Inclusion, Diversity, and Excellence Award. I have shared with you on this page our 2024 Summer Abroad Inclusion, Diversity, and Excellence Award recipients. And every single year, I'm absolutely blown away by the incredible achievements our summer abroad students have already achieved before they even travel abroad. And we want to recognize all the different ways you contribute to strengthening EDIA. And every year we provide four exemplary summer abroad admitted students with $5,000 each, and these are called Inclusion, Diversity, and Excellence Award. So if you've done something towards the advancement of diversity and inclusion, maybe you've started an initiative, led a workshop, went over and above, and this doesn't only have to be done on campus. Maybe you're working in your individual respective student communities. Maybe you're working on a project in your neighborhood. Tell us about it in your award application, and we want to recognize those activities. So don't forget about this particular unique award opportunity. And then moving a little bit to merit-based awards. Like I mentioned, there is a supplemental application that you would need to submit if you would like to be considered for merit-based awards. So based on what you can see on the screen, we have a number of merit-based awards. So just keeping that in mind. They tend to be a bit more competitive, but of course, I still encourage you to apply for it. We have a certain number of awards available, and the amount is on the screen as well, and these are available to all usually summer abroad participants. What we consider as merit is not just CGPA. If there are other ways in which you are able to demonstrate merit, do include that in the application, and we will take that into account. We always try to make sure we are holistic in our assessment. So we've talked a lot about the criterias and what it means. I'm going to now jump to the step-by-step guide. So you're familiar with the application. So your first step is logging into the Summer Abroad portal. When you're on the website, the login tab is on the top right-hand corner, and I've provided a link to our website here. Create an account, that's your first process, and search for the particular summer abroad program you're interested in completing. Fill it out. This is what it's going to look like. So when you're selecting a summer abroad program, it will guide you through the next steps. At the end of it, as you can see, this is the final step of step one. It will ask you, do you want to apply for an award based on financial need? Remember to select yes. I know a few students click no by accident and totally miss out on the opportunity to receive funding. International students, of course, do note this would not apply to you here. So if you're looking for other types of awards, so merit-based awards are different types of awards, then you can definitely go to the Search Awards and Bursary tab, and you'll find a little bit more information there as well. If you are completing the scholarship application, here's a quick screenshot of what the scholarship application, or we call award application, looks like. It's pretty straightforward. It'll walk you through the criteria. It'll ask you to confirm a couple of information, and usually these are the award criteria. You'll also be asked to detail how you meet those award criteria. So keep that in mind. If you have a specific award in mind, make sure your response actually talks directly to the award. So if you notice the particular award asks you to demonstrate a certain thing or a certain aspect, put that in your response so we can match you accordingly. You'll also have an opportunity to provide personal information that we'll be able to take into consideration when we're reviewing your award application. The next section would be on government assistance. You'll be asked to confirm, do you receive aid? If you don't, then the reason or rationale behind why you may not have applied for it is extremely relevant. If you do receive financial aid, OSAP, or any kind of other government funding, do say yes and provide that information because that's very relevant, especially for needs-based award. And for those who might not be sure how much they may be receiving, you can indicate an estimated amount, and you can also put down in the comment section that this is an estimate at this point in time. Okay? I want to spend a little bit of time explaining this section to you on your award application. It's called the Additional Awards with Specific Criteria, and you'll note that it's an optional section. For those who may want us to consider you for additional awards, do answer it appropriately, and we will make sure we are matching you to the appropriate fund. To note, this section will ask you questions. Are you registered with accessibility services? Are you confirming you're indigenous student, or do you wish to self-identify as a Black student? These questions are optional, and if you prefer not to address or answer them, it's your decision. We will only use the information gathered in this section to match you to additional funds. It's not used to assess you for admission into the program at all. Okay? Other sections also are included in an award application, and they pertain to leadership, core curricular, and community involvement. This is to understand our students a bit more, and in some cases, we are able to make sure that students who have demonstrated exemplary leadership, community involvement, etc., are matched to diversity inclusion funds, specifically around our new award, Inclusion and Diversity and Excellence Award. So if you are looking to be considered for those new awards under EDIA, diversity inclusion. Please note that we will be reading these sections carefully, so make sure you are highlighting your achievements for us. This page provides you a little bit of a budget calculation opportunity. So you'll have the space to plug in your budget planning amounts so that you can actually calculate your financial resources. And a number of students find this very helpful because it helps to plan out things for your opportunity abroad. The final piece is on documentation. This is a section that shows you how to upload supporting documents. It's pretty straightforward to navigate, and you're able to upload different types of supporting documents that help us better understand your financial situation. Last but not least, remember to submit the application. We've had a number of students start it, and I'm sorry if it is not as intuitive because it's on the left navigator at the bottom. To make sure you've clicked on submit application. So once you click submit, you should see the text come up and it says, congratulations, your application has been submitted. So remember to do that. Okay, so that's a wrap on the step-by-step guide, and I hope you find it helpful. A reminder that our application, Summer Abroad application and awards application deadline for almost all our programs and destination is February the 3rd, which is coming up in about a month's time. The exception is the DRG scholarship for art history in France, and that has a earlier deadline of 15 January. So I hope for students who are thinking about the art history course in France, keep that in mind. Once we receive all your application, award decisions are sent out. Usually around the time we send out admission decision. So we try to make sure that you're able to make an informed decision about on your ability to participate in this program. So once you receive your admission decision, note that usually very close to that date, we would make sure you're also receiving a decision on your award application. Should you be selected for a Summer Abroad Award, note that that amount is applied directly towards your program fees. And this is specifically for awards granted through Woodswood College because it's our own awards at Woodswood College. So we are able to apply that directly through your Summer Abroad invoice. Okay, it's taken care of, very easy and seamless. So here's a recap of the Summer Abroad 2025 timeline. I hope you're able to take advantage of all the information that has been shared and make an informed decision. I definitely encourage you to apply. Apply so that you can take part in these incredible opportunities. A QR code will lead you to important links that's available on our website. If you have any question, book a virtual appointment with a Summer Abroad advisor. Talk to past participants about their incredible experiences. And don't forget, we are here to help you navigate through different aspects. And we hope you have an incredible time exploring the different opportunities. And we hope to see you this summer.